while the baby's sleeping. See me here. Yeah, so I recorded the start of this video 3 weeks ago. I can't believe it's been 3 weeks already. And made several recordings. Made several recordings since, and just don't like how they were coming out, or how I was rambling, or I don't know. Just wasn't working, so I'm trying again while the baby. Today is the second time while the baby is sleeping. I suppose I shall get interrupted at some point. Well, sorry about that. It's like I need a nap. My chosen topic was discipline, punishment, child rearing. I don't know if there's a set title for it, but it was just something that had been on my mind a lot. And because a few of my friends have kids the same age as my last child, it has been a topic in our circle for quite some time. And I don't know. I used to be a pretty devoted corporal punishment advocate. I thought it was the right thing. I thought it was effective. I thought it was just something that you did. And there were times I felt bad about it. There were times I felt like it wasn't making sense. But it's almost like other things that we're conditioned to believe and think. We just do it. Because, I don't know, we just do it. I mean, how many things do you just do that you, like, have you really sat down and thought about why you do it? How many things do you carry on because it's tradition? How many traditions have you bucked and decided we're not going to do that because it's just making no sense? So, I guess being the one that has bucked against a lot of things over the years, when we got here to Luther in 2016, I eased off of beating, spanking, the whole laying on of hands. I backed off of it because I didn't like the place it was coming from. I didn't like the justifications I was telling myself for it. I didn't like justifications I hear people had for it. Like, I don't know. And then today, a near and dear friend of mine mentioned something. She asked someone if they ever thought that when we beat our kids and we tell them we love them, we reassure them we love them, is it not setting a precedent to be in an abusive relationship? Is there no correlation in your mind that, well, my parents used to smack the shit out of me, so I guess this woman, this man doing it to me and telling me they love me, my parents told me they love me, so I guess it's okay. And that made me think as well. And I'm like, we set the groundwork for so much crap, and we don't realize it. We don't, excuse me. The weather here is being really ridiculous. 1 minute, it's really sunny. Yeah, it's really sunny. 1 minute, it's really sunny and sunshiny. And the next, it's clouded over and cold. And it's sort of, when it's not my sinus, it's got my chest feeling kind of tight. So, yeah, so I used to be a pretty avid crass dealer. My son, I think we get into these ruts of who we are or who we think we are. We have no allowance for anyone else's personality in our children. It's okay if my friends are different from me. It's okay if my cousins are different from me. It's okay if my siblings are different from me. It's okay if I'm different from my parents. But my children? Nah. I have hopes, dreams, and plans for them. and they cramp in my style if that don't go with what I trying to do. And I think that's how parenting seems to be in our culture. I don't know. See, I'm trying to get this all in without rambling. And it's so hard to pull together. Even when I tried to make notes and write it down, I couldn't get it the way I wanted it. But so when I first had my son, I was told by his doctor, he didn't come to run things. He didn't come to rule the roost. He's to fit in with our schedule, and he's to adapt to the situation. So even though I had experience with kids, this was my second child, and this one I've got this one home and gung ho and ready to tackle the world, and I got mommy on my side and his daddy right there, and we could do this. And I went from trying to breastfeed on a schedule and 20 minutes to 30 minutes each boob, and then it came to sleep training, which I do not believe in. And there can be plenty of things I say or things y'all discover I didn't do. If you don't agree or you don't want to engage, turn off the video. Don't even gotta watch. But I personally, from experience, ain't on that sleep training run. I tried with my son. And the first time it was an hour of crying. I felt like I had abandoned him. He seemed to be determined to cry until I come back in the room. He had no intentions to go and sleep without me. And I don't remember how old he was, but it was almost 2 hours of crying. And the second night, it was almost just as bad, and I couldn't do it. I'm like, this ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. I nursed. When it's time for him to go to sleep, he nursed. If he wanted to get up in the middle of the night to nurse, especially when he was big enough to crawl around, he'd crawl out his crib into our bed, latch himself on, and go back to sleep. And just stuff like that to me. See, my thing is, we carry them for 9 months. They come out into this bright, loud world, and the first thing we want to do is claim their independence for them. Oh, they out now. We put them in a crib by themselves. We put them in a room by themselves. We've got monitors and all these different things. And my personal experience and belief is I can't do that. And there's something that's actually called the fourth trimester I discovered by mistake. But that's the fourth trimester is that whole easing into the world, getting them comfortable with the world. And it came flooding back to me when I had my last baby, because the age gap is like 10 years between her and my older girl. And we were in Nassau getting ready to come back, trying to tidy up some paperwork like passports and everything. And it was rough. She would sleep only either right up against my breast or on my chest. Her daddy would sleep with her on his chest, and that would be the best sleep she got. That's when she slept. So it was almost like we'd take turns, almost like, okay, if I have her on my chest, there's a fair she can fall, so I'm not going to sleep as hard. So what to do is, you could sleep hard now, and then when you have her, I can sleep hard. So that was the rotation we sort of ended up on. And then, you're scared of SIDS, so you don't want to put her on her stomach to sleep without watching her, because they're telling you these different things could happen, but she wouldn't sleep on her back. So it's like you have these little people who are adapting to this new, strange, big place, this loud place, noise, it smells, people, personalities all around them. In the meantime, they are who they are, and this is coming forward, and their likes and their dislikes. But we tend to push these things down or push them aside or minimize them, and we treat our children as objects. We treat them as they came into our lives and we own them. They can do what we say. They can act how we insist they act. They can be who we insist that they be, and then we can shove them out into the world and let them have at it. I feel like it's a gradual process, and I think that we rush the process. I think it's all about, oh, I can't wait for them to walk so we don't have to carry them. I can't wait for them to talk so they can tell me what's wrong. I can't wait for them to do this because I tired of this part, and I tired of that part, and I tired of the next one. Like, currently, part of me is like, I can't wait for my little one to be able to wipe herself, because I am just so tired of having to stop what I'm doing, elbow deep into some craft, and I poop comes ringing through the air, and it just becomes forcing them along our schedule. And I think that's where the discipline issue becomes a problem, because it's all about development and developmental stages, and we read all these books and we follow these timelines, but when they get 3, 4, 5, or in school, we don't read up on it as avidly no more. We don't watch out for the emails and suck them up and be like, oh, this is what's going on, this is what's going on, as a general idea of where they're at. And then we find ourselves stuck in a cycle of, oh my God, what's going on? Why they like this? I can't do this. And I realized that's where I was with these set when I got here. That teenage phase is no joke. My son has calmed down a whole hell of a lot than when we first got here. It was intense. That who he was when he was younger magnified as he got older and just came to the forefront now that he's almost 16. It's like, that's him. And it's not just knowing that's him, it's realizing that he knows that's him. So we want self-confident, self-assured adults, don't we? But when does that happen? When does that begin? When do we give them that space and that build up to become that? Because if I'm knocking you right because you mouthed what I called mouth off at me, and if I knock and you laugh because you dare had a difference of opinion, and if I cutting you down because you don't agree with what I say, at what point am I building someone who is sure of themselves to speak up in other situations? And I'm not saying to... See, I only can use myself as an example. I dropped my daughter off somewhere, and I was out with my son, my boyfriend, and my daughter, the youngest daughter. And my son was watching the youngest daughter, and she was giving him a hard time. When we got to the car and was ready to go, he's like, oh, y'all take so long, it's so hard watching her, I tired, and whatever. And it was like, those who were nearby were like, oh, well, somebody can get boxed on day, because of, I guess, him actually stating what was what. We were in somewhere, we took long, he was tired, he didn't want to watch her anymore, and it's a situation of, oh, I's your ma, and if I say watch her till I finish, you're supposed to watch her till I finish. He's not supposed to have the idea that he's tired. He's not supposed to not to want to watch her. I's your ma, and I say watch her. That because I said so thing just ain't gonna cut it. It doesn't. Because I'm disrespecting the fact that he's tired. I'm disrespecting the fact that he's a person with feelings. And I'm just supposed to run roughshod over that because I'm his mother and I wanted to do something. And I don't have no regard for where he stands on the matter. And it's not saying that I'm bringing him up disrespectful or I can't get him to do things. that he's told to do. It's a matter of that was how he felt in the moment. So I had no reason to have to box him down for that. And those are things that I feel like in our culture, we are quick to snap at our kids for, or quick to knock them for when they state facts, when they state actual things, because it don't line up, or because it makes us look bad, or it isn't in line with where we think it should be. We want to drag them. And I don't know. With the little one, she gets popped every now and then because I keep repeating myself, and I feel like if I say it one more time, I'm gonna explode. So I'll pop her on her hand, but it doesn't make sense because her thing is that she's going to hit her siblings to get what she wants. So if she wants a cup of milk and they don't move when she asks for it, she'll knock them. That's not what I want to instill in her. That's what I don't want. I don't want the three of them to think if someone don't do what I ask them to do, I could just bop them and then get my way. That's not how it works. I also don't want them to think that, oh, I love you and I could bop you for something. So if you get in a relationship with someone and that person wants to bop you because they love you, it's okay. I think I think it's a longer and more intense process to parent without that physical contact. And I think that's what we avoid. We avoid having to go and find an alternate route because our lives are so filled with other things. We were filled with either full-time work or dealing with the house or dealing with another child or all these different things. So the quickest thing is to just suck you down, let you deal with the aftermath of that and carry on. I don't feel like having a conversation with you about what you're doing, why you shouldn't be doing it, and what's the problem. Let me just put that succinctly in a slap and we could carry on. But we don't look at the ramifications of these things. We don't look at how sometimes our children will withdraw from us and not tell us something because the fear is, if I tell you, you can bust me. If I tell you, you can smack me. If I do this, or the lines get blurry between what it's okay to tell you and not tell you, what it's okay to do and not do. And essentially sometimes our kids are one way with us and then another way when they're out or with friends. We were like that growing up, but I'm saying is how open will they be with us? When I got to a certain age, because my mother felt certain ways about things and because I'd already gotten knocked for, I don't remember what it was, but certain things and stages in my life, I just stopped talking to her about. When I got about 16, 17, she didn't know. She didn't know. And some stuff came to her head when I was around about 18, 19. She had no idea. And it's like, well, you would have an idea if you hadn't been so adamant in certain things or so closed off about certain things that you get blindsided by what's going on. It's bullying. Sorry, that just came back to me. I think that corporal punishment is bullying. It's a way to lord yourself over a smaller person, over someone who's trusting you to care for them and love and nurture them, and it's bullying them into submission and saying that I'm the bigger person, I'm the boss, and you listen to me. And sometimes we have no other backing other than I'm the boss, or I'm tired of saying one thing over and over again. The beating never worked on my son. It didn't work. So I don't see the point. It's not working with the little one. The older girl, it was a matter of she was terrified of it, so she tried not to do whatever it was that she would get beaten for. But I don't think that's the goal of getting beaten. I think what we want are people with self-control and understanding of why they shouldn't do certain things. I don't want you not to steal something because, oh, I got busted when I find out. I want you not to steal something because that something doesn't belong to you. And it's not moral to take things that don't belong to you. And it affects other people when you do that. I don't want you to be in fear of what I can do to you. And I think that's the groundwork as well for our culture, where when you out somewhere, instead of having instilled our kids with some moral compass that says that ain't right, that ain't cool, instead it's my mommy you kill me boy, my mommy you kill me boy. Well, in a lot of cases, a lot of teenagers just do things because their parents don't want them to do them. That's number one. Number two, some of them think it's worth the cut ass. And number three, I want you to, on your own, have that integrity that says it ain't right, so I'm not gonna do it. Well, here we are, 20 minutes in. I hope that made sense. I think I'm gonna do a part 2. But those are my initial thoughts on where I stand with corporal punishment and why, and not just corporal punishment, but just child rearing as a whole, and why I'm not on that train like I used to be anymore. These two in here, I can't tell you the last time I really, no, it wasn't making sense. It became a vent. It becomes you venting your frustration, or one day you realize that's all it is. You're venting your frustration, and it's not really benefiting either of you. But yeah, stay tuned for part 2. I'm gonna drop that next week. This isn't done. So in the comments, you can let me know what you think, how you feel, and that'll even go towards next week's video. Hello, and she's awake. Oh, my timing is stellar.